Erik Kulleseid, and I just want to say thank you to the Municipal Art Society for inviting me to speak today. I'm glad to be here, honored to be here on behalf of Governor Cuomo, who really has been an amazing park leader in making investments in our parks in the city, downstate, and around the state. The title here is deliberate. In and for New York City. We'll talk a little bit about what we are in the city, but we have a lot of parks just outside the city, regional destinations that are vitally important. If we're talking about access to open space and green space, like a lot of the preceding speakers have been talking about, our parks really in the outlying region are surprisingly vital assets for the city urban dwellers. So that's the title, sorry. I also take my hat off to Elizabeth Goldstein. Elizabeth Goldstein was the New York City Regional Director, and I think she was the director who opened that park you see over there, Riverbank State Park. I think it was the 4th park in New York City at that time. We do not have a long history in New York City. Our first park was Roberto Clemente in the Bronx, and since then now, we have 8 parks across all 5 boroughs, and it is, we have a small, we're sort of small but mighty in New York City.
Yeah, that's not the...
Does this sound okay? Okay. There we go. So in the city, it's a variety of parks. Really, like I said, they run from waterfront, reclaimed, sewage treatment plants, a 28-acre park on top of a sewage treatment plant. Shirley, Chisholm, which we just opened on a landfill in Brooklyn. Over the last 10 years, we've seen tremendous increase in our visitorship. Really, that's what we're seeing really across the state, but it's very noted in New York City, 72 million visitors. But we're also investing. Like I said, Governor Cuomo has been really an extraordinary leader. He came in and saw a $1 billion backlog, and in the last 10 years, we have spent $1 billion to restore parks. Roberto Clemente Park, if you've been there, it's a park that surrounds a state public housing development. Should I turn this one off? Is it echoing to anyone else? Maybe that's better. Is that better? Okay, good. Sorry. 100 million was invested at Roberto Clemente to totally redo this riverfront park, to soften the bulkhead, to create sustainability, create step-down opportunities to the Harlem River. If you haven't had a chance to go there, we reopened it officially this summer. It's a fantastic place on the Harlem River in the Bronx. Again, it's about providing really high-quality recreation in the city. We also have partnerships we'll talk about in a little bit there. This, of course, is our new flagship. This summer, we opened Shirley Chisholm State Park in Brooklyn, really close to Central Brooklyn, close to the old Starrett City, the public housing down there. It is now the largest state park in New York City at 400 acres. It's about a little less than half the size of Central Park. It accomplished a long-held dream to take an old landfill and turn it into a park. And I guarantee you go out there, it is stunning natural, it's stunning scenery, grasslands, access to the water. Biking has taken off like you've never seen. It's really been a tremendous new asset. Very, very, very pleased with that development and what we're offering now to Central Brooklyn, which is really an area that has been underserved by parks. In addition to that, and really I had to take my hat off to the Trust for Public Land, who's also in the room today. The governor has said, really, this is really very much focused on Brooklyn, Vital Brooklyn, a $1.4 billion initiative to really improve the quality of life in Brooklyn, thinking about the women who spoke earlier about We Run Brownsville. These are, as you can see, former asphalt lots that we are converting into playgrounds with athletic facilities and better drainage. And it's really a way, again, to make sure that parks in the city, there are parks and play spaces and open spaces available to people within walking distance of their neighborhoods. There are other aspects of that. We are investing in community gardens, and so that those facilities that are really very intensely community driven can be offering more to the residents about them, and really in many of these circumstances, it's very simple. These are just water hookups, just so that people can do more in these gardens. We also have really the previous commissioner. I give credit to Rose Harvey, the previous commissioner, for opening up a Connect Kids program to really help get kids into our parks, but also use our parks in the cities as jumping off points to experiences in our regional parks around the area. So Connect Kids, we pay for field trips, we get them out into the wilderness so that people can actually so kids in particular can have this experience of outdoor life that they wouldn't really get here within the 5 boroughs. After that, there are programs, we have after-school programs. We have a partnership with Major League Baseball to provide youth baseball and t-ball at Roberto Clemente, chess clubs. We are really trying to use this program. In fact, we're looking for ways to expand it, but we really want to use Connect Kids to create, not only get kids to the parks, but provide them with things to do when they get there. But what's also vitally important and worth remembering is our parks outside the city, been there a long time in the Hudson Valley, on Long Island. These are places that are really vitally important to New York City. I'll talk a little bit about the challenges more, but these are places you can go, Lake Welch, beaches, pools, where on a weekend in the summer, it is really very high amount of New York City residents, people in the city, and they also have had this same tremendous spike in attendance in the last 40 years. In some ways, we'll talk a little later, we're sort of a victim of our own success in that we've been investing in the parks and really picking up the quality of the experience, and as a result, people are coming. We also do have some issues. There's some latent sort of leftover hangover from the financial crisis where we don't have as much capacity as we used to. This is FDR Pool in Westchester County in Yorktown, just about, not more than 20 miles from the Bronx line. It just is very, very popular on a weekend. And these studies have been done in recent years. These are actually probably about 5 years old, but the story hasn't changed. You look at these ring parks. Bear Mountain, if you've ever been there, is really about 45 minutes away from the Bronx, and it gets 1/3 of its visitation from the 5 boroughs. Jones Beach gets over half from the 5 boroughs, so it has really become in some ways more of a New York City park than even a Long Island park now. And I think the one that don't show up here is Lake Welch in Harriman State Park. It's 300,000 to 400,000 people a year. 55% of those visitors are people from the Bronx and really a large Latino population. In fact, I want to read just as a exemplar of what of the impact. We've done studies up there, and what one person said was, this is really exactly what state parks are trying to achieve. We need a place for people without a lot of money, and we come from New York City, and there's no place like this there, right? So this is the kind of experience where they get out, they come on a weekend, and they can put out their picnic table, go swimming, be outside, and really have that whole experience of outdoors, get those health benefits that we talked about earlier. So this is our challenges. We have, like I said, in the last, statewide, we've had a 20 million person increase in visitation in the last 8 years. I will say this summer, at 2 o'clock in the morning on July 4th, the first car pulled up to the gate at Lake Welch State Park. That's a beach that's about 20 miles outside the city on the Palisades Parkway. And by 11 o'clock, we had reached capacity and we had to shut the gate. That happens regularly at Bear Mountain, Lake Welch, Lake Tiarati, Rockland Lake, the West Bathhouse Pool at Jones Beach regularly has a 2-hour line to get in. So we are really, this is one of the major things we are grappling with right now is what do we do? How do we better open ourselves? Because these are vital parks. I view these parks really as, this is your first destination park, your first park outside the city. How are we going to make these places more accessible to all who want to be there? Obviously, climate change, Superstorm Sandy nearly wiped Jones Beach off the map to some degree. I mean, we lost our boardwalk, had to really totally reconstruct it. It also was one of the major reasons that Roberto Clemente had to be reconstructed. We are dealing with, building up, getting out of the sea level rise zone, but it's a real challenge for us. And I'll just say, going forward, I think what I view in some ways, our state parks are interesting. They are a ladder in ways to a life outdoors. We have parks like Riverbank, very urban, lots of playgrounds, like a lot of our places in the city, but they are gateways. If you think of our park, then we have our sort of first ring parks in the region around New York City. Then you have your wilderness parks, more like a Minnewaska or the Catskills, the Adirondacks. I think the thing for me is to think about how do we build a ladder? How do we make sure there's a ladder to a life outdoors coming through our parks where your first rung is your city park, then your next rung is your destination day trip, and then you're going from there into increasing comfort and facility with life outdoors. Clearly, we have language issues that we are now also addressing, trying to make sure that our parks, when someone drives to Fonsdock or something in the Hudson Valley, they feel that they can understand it, they know how to get into it, they know it's offered, that we're actually offering experiences to people, to guide people, offering canoeing, whatever it is that get people out into these places. But really just, again, just to thank you for letting me come today. I just wanted to present this. I think my message is state parks are really vital components of the city fabric. We really want to do more down here. The governor feels very strongly about the quality of life in the 5 boroughs, and we are looking very much to making sure that our parks in this region offer affordable, healthy destinations for a life outdoors. Thank you.